Fall is officially here. There's cooler temps in the air, and the colors are changing right before our very eyes. That means it's time for a fall colors photo walk. Today, I'm coming to you from the beautiful Lake Scranton Reservoir, a place that has a 3.5-mile walking trail that should give us plenty of opportunities to see some nice colors and scenery. And if you want to find out what we captured today, well, all you need to do is grab your camera and let's capture some moments. We are nearing the end of October here, and we are having a very beautiful stretch of weather. It did start off cold this morning. It was in the 30s, but it's supposed to be in the upper 60s this afternoon. Right now it's around upper 50s to around 60 degrees. And this is a gorgeous location. I have filmed here before for my main channel, JP Videos, but I thought right now colors are in peak. We have a nice autumn morning and we have plenty of opportunities. So I'm going to make this a very peaceful, relaxing, and just enjoyable video to watch, both with the photo taking and with what you see on my camera. I'm going to do some narration here and there, but I do want you to feel like you are here with me, taking the environment, the sights and the sounds, and just to have a relaxing time with me here as we walk around the 3.5-mile loop and try to capture some incredible photo opportunities. I am shooting, of course, with my Nikon D5600. I am on aperture priority, and my lens of choice is my 18-140, which will allow me plenty of flexibility for composition. Along this section of the trail, there is a stone wall here, and it kind of snakes around. So I want to compose it so that I get some of it in the foreground and in the background. It's going to go as wide as I can here. I'm going to focus on the stone closest to me, recompose, and even a shot of the tunnel right here, the culvert. This video that I'm making is something that I've been planning on doing for about 2, almost 3 weeks now, ever since the colors started changing. But between scheduling and weather, it just wasn't cooperating as it was supposed to. I wanted to make this video a week ago, but weather didn't cooperate, and before that was scheduling, and I thought waiting till now I might have missed my opportunity with the colors. Thankfully though, this particular part of the area, the colors are pretty much now close to peak, so I guess things worked out in my favor because now we have really good weather. If I came when I wanted to, it would have either been chilly or windy or rainy, and we have a little clearing right here, so let's come down here closer to the water's edge and see if we can find any photo opportunities. The down here gives you a pretty good view of the lake. We're looking directly across, and the sun is behind us shooting that direction, so the trees over there are highlighted from the sun. So we're going to see if we could maybe capture a photo or two. I'm going to do one right here in the clearing. I'm going to do a wide shot right here directly across, taking in all the landscape. And this little tree right here does have a couple leaves on it. So I'm going to raise up my aperture a little bit, which means closing it down, which allows for more focus in the foreground and background. I'm going to focus on a leaf here and then recompose the shot just like that. Looking along the side of the lake here, certain trees are overhanging, so I'm going to turn the camera for portrait mode long ways, and I'm going to focus in the distance here. Also going to raise the exposure just a little bit, and we have a nice shot looking along the edge of the lake here. One more shot I want to get here. We do have these weeds here with some sun peaks showing through them. So I want to highlight on that, recompose. That's a nice shot highlighting the nature here with the sunburst coming through. You may be able to notice too the clarity of the water. The water is nice and clear and clean for a body of water like this. That's because There's no swimming allowed, no boating, not even fishing. You can't go in the water at all. It is drinking water for the city, but they at least allow you to walk around it and take in the beauty of it. Now right here, there is some wind out there. It's just creating some choppiness on the water. If there is no wind, I would try to get a reflection shot. Hopefully, if we get to a different part of the lake, there'll be a nice calm patch and we may be able to get a reflection shot. But right now, with the breeze we have, you're not going to see any reflection at all, just the ripples in the water.
You're working and you just happen to pick your head up for 1 minute. You see me waiting.
Coming up around this bend, we do have a break from the shade. Sun is shining through, and we do have some nice color ahead of us here. So I'm going to take advantage of that and get a couple shots. Now, one shot you could do that's very easy, very simple. Anyone could do it, no matter what you're shooting with, whether it's a smartphone, DSLR, even a disposable camera. All you do is find your favorite leaf. Could be during the summer when it's green, or now when it's changed. I did select this one just randomly. And what you want to do is basically hold out in front of you, get your camera, and depending on how close you have the leaf to the camera is going to depend or determine how much blurriness you're going to have in the background out of focus, because you want the leaf to be the main focus of the photo. So I'm going to focus on the leaf. Recompose a little bit. And there we go. We have a nice colorful leaf showing the lake and the colors in the background. And right here, this is a gorgeous tree. Don't know what kind it is, but the colors are simply outstanding. It's actually a multitude of shades. We start off over here, a faint green, yellowish. Coming to the middle is orange, and near the end of it is red. So this is offering some fantastic colors here, especially looking upwards as I bend backwards to show you. Really bright and vibrant. So I want to get a shot, and I'm going to show you. It's going to look like that in photo form. I'm basically going to hold up the camera in the air, focus, and capture. Another shot I'm doing right now is focusing on the leaves a little bit further back, but I have some of the leaves right next to me in the frame of the image, which is more like a revealing shot. Yeah, that's a nice photo right there, if I say so myself. And as we back up, if I want to get this tree in all its glory, I'm going to hold the camera vertically. I'm going to try to get the guardrail out of the shot here. Going to zoom it in just a bit to fill the frame. Recompose. And there we go. We gave that tree its moment in time. Happens to be a... Where'd he go? There was just a chipmunk there. Oh, there he is. Another shot I always enjoy taking is this shot right here, both on film and in photos. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to point up the camera, keep it on a wide angle, and capture those colors with the blue background. Looking down, you see what I see? A bunch of pine cones. Now with this, we could recreate the same shot I showed you earlier of holding this in our hand and making this the main subject of our photo. Let's find a nice background for that. So over here is the overflow spillway area. It's not the official spillway. There is a dam spillway we're going to see in just a little bit. This is a newer, updated, modified overflow system. So these little wedges, well, basically when the water gets up and over them, it goes down and flows out. I'll give you a view of that from the top of the bridge there. But I'm going to use that bridge as assistance for our next photo with our pine cone. So instead of holding it this time, I'm going to place it on the bridge. The sun is off to our left, showing this way, so it's going to be highlighting this nicely. I'm going to position it there. I'm going to get back just a little bit here, zoom in, focus on the pine cone, recompose, so we can see the background. And there's our shot. Now the background is really blurred out. You can still tell what it is, but it's really blurry. So this time I'm going to increase the aperture up to, we'll try 11, f11. So it should give us more background in focus. There we go. So depending on the look that you're going for, as long as you adjust your settings accordingly, you can make it work. So here's another look at those spillway channels. These ones are dry because the water hasn't reached them yet. And I did see a stamping of 2018, so they were put in roughly 5 years ago. And these ones are actively working. So what you can see is the water basically just rolls over the top of it, flows down to the channel, under the bridge, and goes down the mountain. Just for a more creative shot here, I'm going to get a shot of this little spillway here, which I think looks kind of neat. Yeah, it's actually quite a cool photo because it's almost like an arrow pointing to the background. It's not nature related, but I think it works for this environment. All right, so something I mentioned before, I think we finally found our spot. I was talking about the calmness of the lake. We do have a nice, relatively calm area compared to the rest, which means we should be able to get a couple of reflection shots. We do have some colorful branches overhanging on the left here, and directly looking across, some colors reflecting as well. So I'm going to try to capture those right now. I'm going to do portrait wise, focus, and there we go. We do have a reflection. Now, depending on how I want to crop the photo, I could make it a tighter shot if I want to. And here's one more shot. Gonna have the reflection and also the rest of the lake and trees in the background here. Pretty soon we're going to be approaching my favorite section of the trail and the lake area. Just up here, we'll be walking past the levee wall and pump house, valve house. Once we get past that, the trail does get a bit more remote, a lot more twists and turns, a lot more tree cover, and hopefully some great photo opportunities. All right, so I do see a possible opportunity here. And if we look straight ahead, past the trees, there is the valve pump house there. And I think if I use my zoom, I could get a bit of a revealing shot through the branches and leaves. I'm going to attempt to do that right now. Yeah, I think that works. That's a nice shot. You get to see a bit of the color in the foreground and the structure in clear focus in the background. There's another little opportunity right in front of us. Near the edge of the water is a little tiny tree. Just a little patch of leaves on the top of it, still in color. The rest of the tree is bare. So I do want to focus on those leaves and make that the main subject. I'm going to do one more shot and increase the exposure just a little bit. There we go. Little patch of leaves, frozen in time, through a photograph. And what we're walking on and approaching is the original levee spillway system, which, as mentioned, has been modified, but the water used to spill over here to maintain the level. And I'd love to get inside that structure. I know it's not going to happen, but it is a pretty grand looking structure, completely made out of stone. And it looks like it's maintained. It's got looks like a newer roof on it as well. We'll be able to see the old spillway right there, the little arches, and of course the structure. So once these people do pass, I'm going to try to compose a photo or two from here, which will show both the structure and the infrastructure of the catwalk and spillway, completely made out of stone. Oh, look at two. There's like hundreds, if not thousands, of little, I think these are ladybugs. This whole area is covered in, wow, thousands of them. They're buzzing around like crazy. Yeah, this whole entire catwalk is covered in ladybugs, like hundreds of thousands of them easily. So it's not going to make for a nice clear photo because we're probably going to have some of them in flight. But regardless, we're going to work with what we have. So I'm going to do two shots here. First off, I'm going to hold the camera horizontally, landscape mode, to get a wide shot. I'm on the widest angle here. And focusing on the building, going to recompose a little bit to bring it down to show the arches. And there's our first shot. And they're actually buzzing my ear. I'm going to do the next photo, holding it portrait mode. Again, focusing on the building. Going to allow us to drop down a bit more. And off to the left, showing the spillway. Both photos work. Both show different parts of the scenery here and the structure. But which one's your favorite? The landscape or the portrait shot? Leave your comment down below. One more shot I want to go for before we continue and want to get past the ladybug frenzy here is maybe a shot down low to the ground. I'm actually going to use my screen for this. And we're going to, I'll tilt you guys down so you can see what I'm doing. Holding the camera down, I got the screen tilted out. I want to get close to the ground. And I want to focus on the foreground, on the background. So the farthest distance away I'm focusing. And I'm going to bring the camera down really close to the ground and take that shot. Now the shadowing doesn't help all that much. If the shadow wasn't there, I think it'd make it even for a better photo. But it works. There's some information on it. This is a Scranton Gas and Water Company. Has directors' names on it. Protected by Johnson Controls. And I don't see oh yeah, 1898. It's over 100 years old. And we're going to get one more photo of it here, highlighting the structure itself. Nice wide shot. And just to give you a view with the camera, this is what the view is like looking across. We walked all along that way. We're down here at the furthest point, if you want to consider that, from where we started. And we're going to basically walk the entire distance up towards the main road, which is Route 307. I can't help it. This structure keeps calling my name. I need to get one more shot of it. This one, I'm going to try to get with the individual walking across in front of it, making this the main highlight. Although I do love sunny days, sometimes it does make for some challenging photos because of the contrast of light and dark. It makes exposing the photo properly more challenging. And to give you an example, when you photograph something that is in direct sun, if you expose for that object, most likely the background is going to be underexposed because the exposure is compensating for the brightness. Where if you do shoot for something bright in the distance, everything in the foreground is going to be dark. So there's always a stark contrast with exposure on bright sunny days. But if you do find a nice balance of exposure of light and dark, or if you're not too concerned about what is light, what's dark, you can get some really nice photos. Now look at right here, we got nice leaves falling down in the breeze. And a nice pop of color. This tree in front of us, nice vibrant red, blue background. That calls for a photo right there of itself. And I'm going to put some vignetting around it, which is going to darken the edges and at the same time make this pop even more. There we go. So you see the edges are darker, the center is more bright and vibrant. And that's just a little bit of vignetting done during editing. They do have a little pathway here that takes you down to a nice little area with a gazebo and a type of dock platform that goes out onto the water. I don't know if we'll have any opportunities for photos, but I'll at least show you what it's like in video since we're here. Typically in the past this area's been loaded with geese, and there are signs around stating don't feed the geese because they just become really aggressive and messy, leaving their scat all over the place. Now, you could bring a fold-out chair here, have a picnic if you wanted to, or even sit in the gazebo. But this is a nice little scenic spot. Also gives you another view of the old spillway and valve house. Directly across over there is the new overflow channel system. And aside from the hum from the plant over there, it's pretty quiet and remote. Let's see if I get a photo here directly across, because the colors on that mountain are popping pretty good right now. So here's a good example of what I was explaining before about the trouble with the bright and dark contrast and the exposure. So right now I'm inside the gazebo. It's obviously darker in here because it's shady, but in the background it's bright and colorful. So if I do take a picture right now and focus and highlight and expose for the leaves in the background, you're going to see that the inside of the gazebo is really dark. And for contrast, if I do want to make the gazebo post here the main focus and expose for that, the background is going to be blown out. So there is a great example. Depending on what your subject is and what your main focus is, the exposure is going to be off. Very hard to match both. It's either going to be a little bit brighter or a little bit darker. But for me, if I was to do this shot like I did, it would be the first shot I showed you, making the gazebo dark, the leaves bright and colorful in the background. Now one shot I see we could get is going to be taking advantage of these downed trees. These are some good sized trees. They're still intact. They're laying down pretty flat. This one here is the largest one of them all. And what I like to do is get a shot basically directly down the trunk. I'm going to sit on the base here. Now this is where it comes up to your creativity. You could either have the foreground in focus and it gets blurry as it goes out, or the foreground's in out of focus and the background's in focus. So I'm going to do both of them, and I want your input to tell me which one you like better. I'm going to do portrait mode like this. First one, we're going to focus on the foreground. I'm going to do one more, focusing on the background, recompose. There you go. Same subject, same composition for the most part, but two completely different looking photos. So tell me which one you like better. So what we have right here is something that caught my eye, is these vibrant greens. This tree, for the most part, is still bright green. Only some of the leaves have changed. Off to the left, we have some other greens, including some moss, which I, of course, call nature's carpet. I think this would be a great opportunity for a color pop photo. So I'm going to take this photo. Doesn't really matter too much what the subject is, because I'm taking in everything. But during editing, I'm going to select only the greens to be colorized. Everything else will be black and white. And we'll see how that looks. All right, photo is a little dark. I'm going to raise exposure one stop and come from a different angle here. So you are seeing the finished result of the color pop. Let me know what you think of it. But since we're here too, we've got some beautiful nature's carpet. Let's give that its time in our photo area here of highlighting just that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to turn this portrait wise, focus, recompose, and a nice patch of nature's carpet with the sun showing directly onto it. So right here is an area I was kind of explaining earlier where the trail does sweep through the woods. The water's still off to our right, about 100 yards away, maybe even more. And we do have some twists and turns here. So what I want to do is get down close to the ground. And I want to take some of these leaves as our main focus here. I'm going to focus on the leaf, recompose. And I think that is a fantastic shot. Yep, I'm not even going to take another one. I am really happy with that one. And that shot right there is one of the reasons why I do photography, why I enjoy it so much, and why it's so relaxing to me, because of the creativity. Taking a photo through the eye of a photographer allows you to take an ordinary scene or object and make people see it completely differently. Most people that are doing what I'm doing, walking here, or even taking photos, are just seeing what their eyes see. But when you get down close to the ground or start looking up or off to the side, that's where you do get some creativity. And I do have a chipmunk right here. Where's he at? There he is. He's posing for me. I had to raise the exposure. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Chipmunk. You're not going to be in my video. Another shot I want to take here is showing the colors of these leaves, but also showing that's along the trail. So what I want to do is basically fill in the frame with these leaves, focus on them, recompose the shot, and we have the colorful leaves along the trail. Another shot I just found is not these leaves, the ones further in the back. I'm not sure if you can see them, but I'm going to focus on the one that has the sun shining directly on it. Focus on that, take that shot, and we have a nice colorful leaf with some leaves in the foreground and background. If you're someone who is relatively new to photography or doesn't have all that much experience, I do want to share something with you which will maybe help you be a bit more at ease when it comes to taking photos. The photos that you see in these videos are the best of the best. They're the ones I feel are worthy to be shared in the video as the best photo I've taken in that exact moment. What you don't see is that I often take 2, 3, maybe even 4 additional photos, because sometimes I'm not happy with the composition, the exposure, the focus. Could be anything, but very rarely is the first photo the right one, at least for me. I do have relatively high standards when it comes to my photography. I don't want to share something that just looks mediocre, so I do want to get what I envision in my head to come through in the photograph. So the reason I'm telling you that is because if you're going out taking photos, don't think there's anything wrong with having to take multiple photos to get the right one. If you have to take upwards of 5 to 10 photos to get the one that you like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's all part of learning and basically honing your craft of learning to see things through your eye and through the lens of the camera. So don't feel like you have to get it right the first time. There's nothing wrong with taking additional photos and choosing the best out of that batch. Directly in front of us is a nice open stretch of trail, slight bend to it, and we do have some trees right here off to our left. So I want to use these trees as kind of a peek behind type of shot. So I'm going to have part of the tree bark in the foreground, out of focus, and we're going to focus on the background in the distance. Yeah, we accomplished it. So it looks like we're peeking just around the tree, looking down the trail. Walking down, this tree was basically shouting at me, "Hey, take my picture." The reason why is because the sun is hitting it directly through a break in the trees, making it super bright and vibrant. Got a little bit of reds and greens and blue behind it. So I think this is going to make for a beautiful, bright, vibrant photo. And yes, I agree with that. Thank you, tree, for getting my attention and allowing me to capture you in the moment. Yeah, that sounds corny, but who cares? Do you guys see anything here? Well, we do have some blockage with the trees, but I also do see some breaks where I think that we could peer through the leaves to the other side. I'm trying to find something to focus on the other side. So I do think we have an opportunity here. So I'm going to look through the leaves, focus in the distance across the lake, and I think that's going to be a pretty good photo right there. Let's make sure we got the exposure right. I'm going to bring it down just to stop, double check my focus. Too dark. Let's bring up the exposure just a little bit. Sometimes it's deceiving. Going to bring up actually one more stop. So it's some vignetting added to the edit of that photo. I think it's a nice looking photo, looking through the trees to the colors and the distance. We're now at what I consider the front of the lake. Right there is Route 307. And right here is a main focal point that's very popular amongst wedding parties. There's probably been hundreds of wedding party photos taken here over the years, either on the steps, which is a popular look, or actually up there on the platform with the lake in the distance. I don't have a wedding party here to photograph, but I can at least show you what the views are like from on top of here. If you come the right time of day though, or right day of the week when there's no wind, the lake is like glass and it just looks picture perfect. And also if you come the right time of day when the sun's not shooting towards you like it is right now, the colors will look that much better. But trust me, it's a breathtaking view. The one thing we can do is utilize these colorful leaves right down here near the water's edge. Now, initially, and just to kind of let you know my thought process, I was thinking about taking the shot from here, looking in the background, but with the contrast of the bright and dark, it's not going to be a properly exposed photo. So if I come to the side, where the sun is not directly in front of us, we're going to have a better exposed photo. So I want to highlight one of these leaves here. Going to get a bit closer with the zoom. And there we have a nice colorful red leaf with the rest of the trees, water, and hillside in the background. We are just about at our 3.5 mile mark, which means we have walked nearly the entire lake. We are approaching on our starting point. It's probably a few hundred yards away. But before we go any further, I do have a special little bonus for those of you who are still watching. So if you are watching right now and made it to this point, first off, thank you for doing so. But not only am I going to share with you my favorite shots of the day, but I'm also going to give you views of this location from the sky, courtesy of Jayhawk. Did you enjoy those views from the air? I bet you did, because I know I did. I do want to let you know too that coming up for next year, 2024, I have a few things in mind. I don't think he knew I was filming them. So, with me doing this fall photo walk, fall color photo walk specifically, I want to start making this a seasonal tradition. So, next season coming up is winter, and if we do get a nice snowfall, I'll be heading out to do a snowfall photo walk. And of course, spring and summer, so I'm going to do this 4 times a year based on the 4 seasons. Between now and then, I'm going to be doing a small town photo walk. We're going to be getting some candid shots of people, businesses, just small town life. That'll be a daytime photo shoot. And then I'm going to be doing a nighttime city photo walk. We're going to be highlighting on a city that is lit up with lights and showing you city life at night. With that being said though, I hope today's photo walk was relaxing, peaceful, enjoyable, and that you maybe learned something. I did share, some things with you about how I go about taking photos. And today I actually took 70 photos. Obviously you didn't see 70 photos, but I took 70 and shared the best ones with you. I myself though had a wonderful time. This is such a beautiful place, and I'll actually be back here in the springtime to do a more formal, in-depth tour on my main channel. So if you do want to see that, make sure you're subscribed to JP videos. That will be coming out in the springtime. But I'm looking forward to your input on the different shots I composed with the different points of focus, and just overall consensus of what you thought of this video. More importantly though, I always encourage you to get out and to capture the moments in your world, because for me, it's something that just allows your creativity to flow, allows you to kind of take a break from the everyday world and focus on what you're seeing with your own two eyes, more importantly, through the lens of your camera, whether it's a camera like this, a smartphone, whatever it is that you use to shoot. I encourage you to get out and capture as many moments as you can. Anyways, guys, I'll see you behind the camera real soon. Thanks for watching.